right? Like, he has no problem LARPing as a revolutionary, but actually putting it on the line, this is going to be very different, which, to be fair, he was. Well, if he was actually doing that, he should get in trouble. Like, I mean, for...
You can just admit that your entire personality centers around hating the dude, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, Hasan would never be in the front lines because he just LARPs as a revolutionary. He's a champagne socialist who basically just wants everyone to think that he's like fucking some kind of Marxist fucking... And then all of a sudden his chat's like, no, he's there. Oh, well, if he's there, he should get in trouble because he's being a revolutionary, and that's probably against the US.
In and of itself, that's kind of what it feels like.
Okay, all right.
If that makes sense.
I just think I mean, listen, is it not kind of comical that he's been given this commentary about like, oh yeah, that's standard issue weaponry. That's usually a surefire sign that things are about to pop off, and he's been doing that for like an hour. And so far, it seems like the police are showing restraint.
Is this the person for whom the soy jack is based off of? I don't know. I don't know the originator of the soy jack artist. I think they're anonymous, so I'm not entirely sure. I cannot validate.
Like, they're not advancing. They issued a dispersal order, and they haven't advanced. Oh yeah, no, they use that technology in Colombia. To, oh, okay.
It started.
Oh.
What the fuck? Why are streamers doing this? Like, it's one thing for, like, you know, people who are trying to, I guess, advocate for things like, you know, civil rights, advocate on the behalf of other groups that are being targeted, stand up against oppression, to have to battle against the right and the far right. Because, of course, those are fascists, those are authoritarians who obviously want the world to obey them under the barrel of the gun, which is why their ideology is so inherently weak that they require vast amounts of military and military equipment to enforce it. That's how that shit works. But then you have to deal with liberals who are unwilling to just, like... The lack of curiosity sometimes astonishes me. I remember having to push up against libs so much during the defund the police movement, being like, I don't think that's an effective slogan. I don't think that's a good strategy. I think everyone here can recognize that at the end of the day, police serve a vital public interest, and all of you are just basically like far left extremist Antifa anarchists who are just yelling ACAB and 1312, and you're all just performative, and you will be the first person to call a police officer when your life is in danger, and you're all just like champagne socialists who live in your like little you know, mansions and don't give two fucks about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I understand that like it can be very jarring sometimes to have the reality of the world suddenly come into light, and it can really fucking be you know, disorienting. Like fucking one of the reasons why I think there was so many post 9/11 truth or conspiracies was because for a lot of people in their brains, they couldn't reconcile with the fact that there might actually be consequences for the non-stop imperial actions of the United States and what they're constantly doing in the Middle East, that people would want to take violent action against the citizens of that country, where innocent civilians in America would be slaughtered. And that, like, to a lot of people, it's just like, nope, no, that is too scary a reality for me to have to reckon with. I would rather believe that this is part of a conspiracy, that perhaps George Bush was the one who orchestrated this whole thing, and that maybe there was a missile that hit the towers, and then maybe, I mean, how did this tower fall? When no one knows. Why don't we ever talk about the, you know, World Trade Center 7? That one just collapsed in free fall. And how did the building collapse? Why would it collapse like a pancake? And if we look at the footage, you can see that there's these little things coming out the sides of the windows. Those are probably squibs, which come from bombs. So these were controlled demolition, I think. That's to rationalize the reality of the world in a way that feels safer to a lot of people, because the reality of what can happen, and then just, yeah, at any given time there could be a massive attack upon your country as a result of, again, the geopolitical decisions that the United States takes. And while they're fucking up and bombing and slaughtering civilians in other countries, maybe there are going to be factions that organize and form in order to want to take action against the United States in return. That was just too much of a scary reality. So of course all this other stuff has to be actually conceived and developed. And the same thing is happening right now to the neoliberal world order, where a lot of people had to swallow, if they were like, blue no matter who Democrats, that Joe Biden and what he was advocating for effectively will result in the racist genocide of Palestinians, and accelerate it and arm it and make it materially possible, and then try to sell you along the idea this is in America's interest. Though at the end of the day, what Israel is doing is they're fighting terrorist organizations. Terrorism. We hate terrorism. So they're fighting the evil terrorist in the form of Hamas, just like we need to fight Hezbollah, just like we need to fight all of these countries that unfortunately hate our freedom. They hate our democracy and make that possible. And then the reality of genocide suddenly starts to be shown for the first time, I guess, in fucking 4K for the eyes of the world to see. And like the lies cannot be upheld anymore. You can't just keep on trumpeting this idea. When it comes to police and police violence and the militarization of the police in the United States, and how, not just in the US, by the way, half of our city budget nearly goes to the VPD here in Vancouver. I think it's something like 38%. In Toronto, it's higher. So a lot of major cities usually put nearly half of their entire budgets into highly militarized, highly weaponized police forces. And if you have no curiosity, you might not look into that. Rather than saying like, oh, you anarchists just want the streets to reign with chaos so you can do whatever you want. Look at all the looting. Look at the Apple stores that got hit. Look at the Waymo vehicles that got hit. See, this is what you wanted. This is what happens when there's no police. And then it's like, why don't you just read Prison Abolition by Angela Davis? No one on the side of saying the police are not an effective program. In fact, they are a destructive program for a lot of cities, in that they, like, prison abolitionists want probably the same thing that you say you want. The idea is that should we not be operating in such a way that we reduce the amount of people who end up in prison, not because there are no laws, or not because we simply allow society to function in this lawless fashion that allows anyone to do whatever they want. It's that shouldn't we be working towards ideas, goals, and our systems that are going to result in less people being in prison? That's prison abolition. That's the entire theory behind it. And if you look at how the current system works, like it's representative of, like, America has what, the largest percentage of prisoners per capita of anywhere in the modernized world. I don't know if it's still globally, but what is it? Nearly 1% of the entire population of the United States is in a cage. And I know people are going to be like, well, yeah, a lot of those people are violent rapists and criminals. Do you think they should be just running and let loose? Is that what you prison abolitionists want? No, it's the system is working as it's intended. And so then we should criticize that system. Do you want less people in prison? Okay, so do I. Then how do we effectively start getting less people in prison? Well, I mean, at this point, if you were to reduce the prison budget, there's just not going to be the ability for them to be able to stop violent criminals and all this kind of stuff. They're not stopping violent criminals now is the problem. There's a lot of, rape kits that are untested. There's a lot of women who've experienced sexual assault that do not see their day in court. There's a lot of people and men who have committed sexual assault who do not face consequences for their actions. There's a disgustingly disproportionate amount of people who happen to be black or indigenous, overrepresented in the prison system. That is clearly demonstrable that this stuff is not functioning in a way that I find personally, based on my own morals and principles, to be the best way society should move forward. If you want to have a better society, we need to look at systems and programs and other countries that do not have the same problems that Canada and the United States do. Do larger social safety nets benefit the general public? The answer is yes. Does social and supportive housing reduce and eliminate homelessness? Yes. Does having more access to mental health care and having more access to people who are going to be able to be first responders in the event of, a 911 call, who have training in that capacity, reduce the amount of negative police encounters that result in violence? Yes. If we want to just talk about, let's look at the stats. And if you don't want to operate in that way, it's more fucking expensive is the real fucking kicker in all this. If you happen to be, a capitalist loving Democrat, and part of that is that but do you want to be spending so much of your taxes or your city's budget in resources that are effectively used as band-aids to fix a lot of the problems that are exacerbated by wealth inequality? By homelessness, Like disproportionately, as soon as someone happens to be homeless, they're going to have a lot of living conditions and material conditions that lead them to vast amounts of addiction, to vast amounts of abuse of alcohol and other substances, and yes, to crime. And no, it's not a one-to-one where literally every single criminal is simply someone stealing baby formula, but there is a lot of crimes of desperation, and there is a lot of crimes of people simply in a bad economic situation that are obviously trying to climb out of it any way they can.
Fuck me, right?
In and of itself.
And I think that, like, you know, right now there's just like a really big problem, you know, like obviously Hutch is not a right winger and not anywhere near as horrifying as people like Asmongold, who are basically like, your entire personality outside of living in squalid filth seems to be definable by I hate Hasan. I feel like there's so many people, like, you can criticize Hasan for so many things if you're going to be doing it for things that like genuinely you know, you disagree with, but just hating on the guy because you hate on the guy and it doesn't matter what he does, like this is clearly on display in this little quick clip.
You see Hasan? No, I don't see Hasan. I heard he was out there. I don't know. I think that I saw an image of it, and I think he's on like the side up the top. So he's not actually going to go down there and stand in the in this area, because if he did, he'd get in trouble. Right? Like, he has no problem LARPing as a revolutionary, but actually putting it on the line, this is going to be very different, which, to be fair, he was. Well, if he was actually doing that, he should get in trouble. Like, I mean, for...
You can just admit that your entire personality centers around hating the dude, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, Hasan would never be in the front lines because he just LARPs as a revolutionary. He's a champagne socialist who basically just wants everyone to think that he's like fucking some kind of Marxist fucking... And then all of a sudden his chat's like, no, he's there. Oh, well, if he's there, he should get in trouble because he's being a revolutionary, and that's probably against TOS. Well, which is it? Like, which one? Is he a champagne socialist who doesn't care and is unwilling to risk himself? And as soon as he is willing to risk himself, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he should get in trouble for that. Yeah. But fuck him.
Sure, he was, though? Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go and double check. He already did? Oh, I'd have to double see and see it. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think all of these people should just get arrested.
All of them. Just fuck them all. Team Ice, I guess.
That's really how I see it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how like there's no other solution to it other than that. Aren't they?
I understand that streamers are in a lot of, like, for the most part, like what I'm doing right now, for example, I'm not a journalist. I'm watching or reading news sources to be able to get my information, because at the end of the day, they're doing the important work. So I'll turn on Al Jazeera and I'll be like, hey, by the way, or I'll show you Rachel Gilmore and I'll be like, here's something that journalists are reporting on, and now I'm going to give you my opinion on it. So it's basically an editorial opinion piece, hopefully sometimes entertaining. Not today, because there's just too much bad news, but you get what I'm saying, right? If a streamer then stands up and then goes and takes their live stream to the streets to be able to let the rest of the world see what is taking place, then absolutely, they are acting as journalists. They are trying to capture something that is taking or happening, and they should be protected and treated as journalists on the ground at that moment in time, where, you know, they should not be fired upon, they should not be arrested, they should not be considered enemy combatants. You know, it's one of those things where the damned if you do, damned if you don't is going to happen no matter what, because a lot of these people's personalities is just based around hating that dude nonstop. Apparently, Ethan Klein has a new sponsor. You'll never guess who it is, everyone.
I have another exciting announcement.
You do?
It's not a big thing, but it's you guys may have noticed we got a button sponsor. Look at it.
Oh,
Oh wait, my glasses. Redact.dev, guys. They are our button sponsor. That's right. We got product sponsors, baby. Really cool company, actually. I'll just tell you guys about them real fast.
I can fill you all in. This is the company started by one Dan Saltman, Destiny's co-host. Yep. That same Dan. So, I mean, all of the accusations that a lot of the information that Ethan usually acquires to be able to go after Hasan comes from, you know, sources related to Destiny. The man accused of multiple sex crimes. Apparently that connection is a little stronger now.
Basically they've got a pre-roll. Whenever I hit the button, you'll see some Redact stuff now. But they are a up-and-coming tech company that's really, I've been hearing a lot about them. They seem to be really doing great. They mass delete your digital footprint. Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, Discord, all in one place.
Now, I want to get on the record here saying that I think it was like a year ago, I actually used Redact, not knowing at all that it happened to be Dan Saltman's company. I just thought it was one of those, like when you Google companies to either send mass messages on your social media accounts or do mass deletions on their social media accounts, you know, Redact is one of the biggest ones that pops up. And, you know, obviously it's just like, hey, for a small amount, I forget what it is monthly, you then get the ability to do a whole bunch of things that you can't just organically do on a lot of social media sites, like mass bulk delete messages, or unfollow bulk amounts of people, or follow bulk amounts of people, or send timed messages in bulk to every one of your social media things, all that kind of stuff. And it took one single person telling me, I think that's Dan Saltman's company, for me to be like, holy fuck, and immediately, like, you know, unsubscribe, because yeah, I mean, this is not people you should be supporting, let alone being sponsored by. I'm pretty sure Desertonauts has some information. Redact claims to delete user comments and posts online, but also claims to save deleted content to use against its users publicly. CEO Dan Saltman is also co-founder of TinyChat, a software funded and used by Sean Diddy Combs to flirt with underage girls. Redact posted this. This is the official Redact account, by the way. Hey, Hasan, we appreciate you purchasing our software to delete these tweets, but we would really prefer if you just don't exploit women instead. We are going to go ahead and refund you. And it turned out this was a joke that they were making to advertise their product, but they're advertising their product by joking that we actually will publicly display the very, like... How does that market outside of, like, I get it, once again, it's just hating Hasan, right? Just blinding hatred of Hasan makes you feel that it's going to be appropriate for you to, you know, advertise your company in this way, because obviously this is being done, I assume, by Dan, or being told by Dan for attempt to go and post. But that's wild, because it's like, why the fuck would anyone ever want to use your software if you're advertising your software by saying, hey, publicly, we actually expose your old deleted tweets for the world to see? Awesome stuff. And I think the follow-up that Redact posted after this was like, just kidding, he never subscribed, but you can to get pure internet security. All that kind of shit. Rumors swirl that Diddy and Ashton Kutcher used TinyChat to flirt with underage girls. The celeb helped TinyChat raise $1.5 million before Diddy's September 2024 arrest for sex trafficking and racketeering. In September 2024, Sean Diddy Combs was arrested following a string of sexual assaults and domestic abuse allegations. The arrest made public hyper-aware. Oops. Information sent of the TinyChat stuff. Well, good shit. Oh, and one more story. I don't know if you know this racist cartoon who's also constantly making videos about, you know, Hasan, part of the Hasan hate industrial complex, as well as like going after anyone who, you know, speaks up for Palestinian causes and stuff like that. I didn't know that he was part Canadian. That part was information to me. Nuxor, Canadian-American VTuber Nuxor, says he no longer has empathy for people being deported if they're not American citizens.
By the way, I'll be real, this is crazy. People say, Nux, I can't believe you have no empathy for these people that are getting deported. No, I have no empathy for the people being deported. I'm sorry. Having empathy for the cruel is being cruel to the innocent. I have zero empathy for the people that are being...
I find him so difficult to listen to, so jarring, because like I understand the appeal is to a much younger demographic, right? In the way that he speaks, and then he constantly uses just that one voice where, well, if I speak like this, you'll hear, no, you should know, my champion, that perhaps, like, it's unbelievably hard for me to listen to this dude. But I didn't know this. His family member was an Israeli IDF soldier who died while invading Gaza back in October of 2023. Sorry, I've been inactive here for the last 2 weeks. I lost a family member in the Israel conflict, and constantly seeing that situation on blast on this app has been awful for my mental health. Lol, I'll be back eventually. Like, oh my god. Are we the baddies? IW realizing in real time that Hasan supports the terrorist organization. I mean, you learn things every day that I wish I hadn't had to learn, because Jesus Christ.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Saline, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com/theserfs.